Hello and welcome to another video. This case, I'm not doing any character guides or composition guides, but uh, I'm gonna do something a little bit similar. This case, I want to talk about, or we could say, like, discuss with myself a certain character that is in the astral parade right now, and if it's worth it at this point in the game. So into the late game, for both, uh, all the players, or the majority of the players, are already like level 120 and more, and probably the game that is maybe in its last months. Um, the character of the current astral prey is Albedo, is Maid Albedo to be specific, as well as her arc light. And well, for example, as you can see here, I almost got the 100 sigils and so, because I was trying to get more copies of her arc light. And so, as you can see, I already have here the character, as you obviously can see it on the middle of the screen, and I have it pretty well upgraded. It has 45k combat power, 6 stars. The arc light is 3 stars, level 100. Has very good stats, and I have quite the experience with the character since, um, well, as you can imagine, to well, seeing the profile picture and my favorite character selected on the character screen, I am quite the Albedo enjoyer. So I played with all Albedo variants and so. And I was able to see the difference when you have Albedo on the mid game, when you have it 3, 4 stars, then when you have her 5, 6 stars with multiple stars on the arc light and so. So the question is if she's worth it now. Like for any people that might want her, that are like, well, maybe I have the gems, but I don't know if I should pull or summon for her. Like for example, here, this person right here, the Blood Barrel Maiden, as well as this one, the Pay to Win one. Both had the dub, and both consulted with me if it was worth to get or to try to get Maid Albedo. In my opinion, yes, it is absolutely worth it. Of course, uh, how much gems you spend on summoning her will depend on your luck, because you could get her at the first 10 summons, or the 20 or the 30 or 40, or maybe you have to go all the way on the astral journey to get the 100, where she is guaranteed. And of course, if you're planning to obtain the character through the astral journey, uh, you should go and use your sigils and your gems on the arc light. That way you get the arc light at some point, and you have the character guaranteed, and you have the entire combo. Now what I'm gonna do is quickly go through what is, the good and the bad points about the character, and then I'm gonna go and talk a little bit about the characters and compositions that can be played either with her in it or around her. Entire compositions around Maid Albedo. And if she is good on certain game modes, or if she is just a specialized type character that only works in a certain environment and so. So, starting with that, I'm gonna be opening the character here. As we can see, the basic attributes are not very impressive. She has 3 Bs on health, speed, and physical defense, and a C on magical defense, but she has an S on attack. It is not that impressive, as we could, for example, open another SSR character from the same class, the Ranger class, and for example, Entoma has exactly the same stats with more speed than Maid Albedo. Or we can open Nigredo, that is on the actual banner, and again, she has the same health, defense, magical defense. She has the same class on attack, she has S, but she has A on speed instead of B. So, obviously, as we can see here, The basic attributes are not exactly the best or the reason why someone should get Albedo. The arc light, as we can see here, is really important. The exclusive effect, I have it 3 stars, so the values might vary with other persons, is that when having more buffs than the target, nullifies 35% of the target defense. At 1 star is just 25, and at 6 stars is 50%. So it's a lot. It's basically a termination relic set effect on an arc light, as long as Maid Albedo has more buffs than the enemies that she is attacking, which is kind of easy to get in certain compositions. Like if you pair her with Pandora's Actor, or if you pair Maid Albedo with Anniversary Albedo, the another limited version of her, you can easily give Albedo 2 or 3 different buffs. And because she gets her own extra 2 buffs, you can get her to 4 or 5. And usually you're attacking enemies that have like just 1 to 3 buffs on them. So you're almost guaranteed that all the time you're gonna be making use of her special arc light with her special effect. As we can see here through the accessories and so, she's a crit based character with assist rate. And once she is upgraded and so, we can see that she has a 20 natural assist rate and 30% natural crit chance, which is nice because most rangers are gonna, well, most rangers good make good use of performing assist attacks on the battlefield and so. Um, Going fast or quickly through the skills, basically she throws her basic attack as both, a normal basic attack or as an assist. And when she attacks, she has the chance of putting critical damage resistance down. It's a debuff that increases the critical damage taken by 30%. That means that you can pair Maid Albedo with 1 or maybe even 2 other characters that deal critical damage. And if Maid Albedo successfully puts the critical damage resistance down on the debuff on the enemy, your other critical damage characters, it could be mages, it could be rangers, and so, are gonna be performing even better because of Albedo. Because their critical damage will be basically increased by 30% when they hit that specific target. And this works as a 2-hit attack, so having 40% basic chance to inflict it is not a lot, but because it counts as a 2-hit attack, you have the chance 2 times. You have the 40% 2 separate times, so if you didn't get lucky the first time, you can get lucky the second time and put in the debuff. The first skill of her, the one on screen, when she throws a tornado, is a decent damage dealing skill, but the important part is the benefit from that. She gains 100% basic chance to dispel 2 buffs from the target when she deals damage. Well, before she deals the damage. So basically, even if she's hitting or fighting against an enemy with the same amount of buffs that Albedo has, when she throws this skill, she's gonna dispel enemy buffs, making her able to use her exclusive arc light effect while she ignores part of the enemy defense when she attacks. So she is almost guaranteed to have the advantage over her enemies every time she attacks with this skill. Unless she has, 2 or 3 buffs and the enemy has 6 or 7 and things like that are crazy. But normally, the enemies and your characters are mostly in the same amount of buffs applied to each character, so this is gonna be like really useful. The passive of Albedo is that she naturally has extra assist rate aside of the one that the accessories gave her, and each time she deals critical damage, she obtains a stack of the Queen's Grace. It's a buff that increases her critical damage 7.5% per stack, and also uh, the stacks of the Queen Grace are gonna add extra damage on her other skills. That means the Tornado and the Ultimate skill. Says next non-basic attack skill consumes all stacks of the Queen Grace to deal bonus damage equal to 25% attack per stack. nullifying 30% of the target defense. So you have the arc light to nullify defense or part of the defense of the enemy, and then as much as long as your attacks deal damage while you have the Queen Grace stacks on Albedo, you're gonna be able to ignore another percentage of the target defense. You can pair this with a termination set, and you're gonna be ignoring even more of the target defense. You can basically ignore almost all the enemy magic physical defense when you attack. Not only that, but she greatly bonus or benefits the critical chances. It says that increases the crit on the next attack by 20% if the character does not score a critical hit on the attack, and resets every time she achieves a critical hit. And she obtains extra stacks of the Queen's Grace for every 3 assists performed by her. This means that every time she attacks she doesn't deal critical damage, she has increased critical chance by her next attack. Not only that, but she has increased assist rate. She has increased critical damage every time she lands a crit with the Queen's Grace stacks. So we can see that this is probably one of the 2 or 3 most critical damage specialized characters on the game, which is quite a lot to say because the other character that is this much specialized is Seishi, also known as No Dead No Life. Now, the ultimate, for example, is also another of the really good points of the character. She launches a 2-hit attack. Each hit is 120% attack. Basically, it's a total of 240% of her attack. It's a heavy hit. And when she has the Queen Grace stacks, she's gonna launch something called the Lob Sting. Each one dealing 40% of the regular damage as one of her normal attacks, and it gets thrown at a random target per each stack of the Queen Grace. So basically, she throws the ultimate, which is a big pink heart that explodes on an enemy. And if she has the Queen stacks, she's gonna deal extra attacks, basic attacks, but a little bit weaker than usual. And she can perform up to 3. So she can hit 3 random targets when she is throwing the ultimate. It's basically 3 extra basic attacks as if she was making an assist. And the Lobsting, the special attack that she gives with the Queen's Grace stacks, deals 20% more damage on each subsequent hit on the same target. So this happens when, for example, you're hitting just a single enemy with the ultimate and only 2 or 3 enemies remain on the enemy team for you. So instead of, Albedo hitting random targets with each of the 3 attacks that she can perform after the ultimate, because there is a lack of enemies, she may hit the same target twice or even more times, and this is gonna add, extra damage. Also, when she has the Queen Grace stacks, when she has 3, nullifies Guard and Shield Wall. Guard is basically what, for example, the Platinum Dragon Lord or what Tank Sisita do, that is, or Yuri, the SR version, the original, that when you're gonna attacking or you're targeting with a single target skill an enemy, there is a chance that the enemy tank in this case could be Sisita, could be Yuri, and so jump in the way and intercept the attack from your character to the specific target, and they receive the damage instead. That is guard. And shield wall is what the Death Knight, what Robo Hamuske, or what, for example, Tank Kokyotos do. That they throw the ultimate and they force you to focus that character for a while. It could be during a certain number of attacks or a certain number of turns. And normally, when you attack them during the shield wall state, they put some kind of, debuff on your character. Like when the Death Knight forces you to focus him, every time you attack him, he's gonna inflict bleed on you. Or Cocytus, when he throws the ultimate and forces you with shield wall to attack him, he is guaranteed to counter you unless you stun him. Or Robo Hamuskin, when you attack that character, you receive part of damage or of the damage back if the character has the arc light, of course. So when she has the three stacks of the Queen Grace, she can basically ignore some of the most popular uh, defensive tools of the tanks nowadays. So you can bypass some of the tank's defense thanks to this and directly hit a damage dealer like a ranger or a mage, or even kill the enemy priest, the enemy healer, in case you need it. And also with the upgrade of the 4 stars, she's gonna deal more damage the lower the enemy target health is. That means that this skill becomes not only a single target attack with burst damage. No, this becomes a finisher. The less health the enemy has, the more damage she's gonna deal. So you can try to use this skill to guarantee that you're gonna kill someone, even if you sometimes do, like an overkill, like you have more damage than you need to kill the enemy. And at 6 stars, she obtains another big upgrade. That is when she throws the love stings, the extra attacks after the ultimate, they're gonna lock onto the target with the lowest HP percentage, dealing 20% more damage if each time that it hits. So if she's max on the stars, she is not gonna be hitting random targets after the ultimate. She's gonna be hitting the same target multiple times based on how low the enemy health is. That is when the extra 20% more damage on each subsequent hit on the same target takes place. Because before the 6 stars, you're not going to be able to do that bonus damage very often unless you're facing a low amount of enemies. But the 6 stars, yeah. But of course, someone was thinking if she's worth nowadays is not probably going to have her or is not going to go for the 6 stars for her, right? So from the skills, what we can see as useful from her, let's say only 3 or 4 stars. As we can see here, the 4-star upgrade only gives her that the ultimate deals more damage the lower the enemy health is. So you have an ultimate that works as a finisher on low health enemies. It allows you to hit either the same target multiple times or multiple targets right after the ultimate. She can put critical damage resistance down on the enemy, so they receive more critical damage from both herself and other critical damage based characters. Not only that, she has high assist rate. She has 20% from the accessories, 15% from uh, the passive skill, and she obtains another 20% from the assist rate up passive or buff that she can get with the first skill. So that means that she naturally can hit out of the turn, when it's not her turn yet. And she, after using one of her skills, she has 100% chance of dealing or performing an assist on the next 2 attacks of her allies. So the next 2 turns after her, if you use those turns to attack, she's gonna also deal an assist. So even if you don't believe that she is great at dealing assist, because you say, oh, she's not even reaching 70% or 80%, right? You could think so. At least she guarantees 2 assists, while other characters may only guarantee one single assist or chase at the most. So you have a character that is gonna increase the performance of herself during the battle and other critical damage based characters. She can make assist, so that already puts her in a certain group of characters to be played with. She can dispel enemy buffs. She can use an ultimate to finish one enemy or hit multiple enemies. Like for example, if you see 2 low health enemies, like let's say one enemy has 1/3 of HP and other has 1/4 of the total HP, you can throw this ultimate to the enemy that has the 1/3 HP, trying to kill it with the heavy blow from the 2-hit attack, and uh, killing the second target, the one that has 1/4 of their total HP, with the lob stings. The only strategy that you should take in mind when playing her is that unless she is, uh, unless she throws two assists in a row before her first turn. Like that will require her to be on your third place or third position to play a character on your team. Unless she performs two assists or even three before her first turn, you should never throw the ultimate as the first skill. Like the majority of characters throw the ultimate first turn as the first skill to use. Well, not with her. With her, you try to prioritize throwing this skill that I have on screen. So she dispels buffs from the enemy as soon as the game starts. She has guaranteed damage not only with this skill, with but also with the guaranteed assist attacks. And the guaranteed assist attacks are gonna give her the Queen's Grace stacks. At the bare minimum, she's gonna get two, and because she already has a lot of assist rate, she might as well deal or perform an extra assist on her own, giving her the third Queen's Grace stack, and by her second turn, you can throw the ultimate at full power because you're gonna have the ultimate with the Queen's Grace bonuses to be able to nullify the guard and shield wall states, and also she's gonna be able to throw as much love stings as she can, which is three. So, uh, well, and regarding items like relic sets or awakening levels and so, try to prioritize her attack, her critical chance, or her critical damage if you want to get her. Because obviously she's a crit based character, she's gonna have to deal a lot of crit, or well, she would like to deal a lot of critical damage to the enemies. And even if she doesn't deal critical hits on the enemies, because she has S on attack, she's gonna still be able to deal heavy damage on the enemies. She's gonna perform very well. So what's the difference between Maid Albedo and someone like the SSR Entoma, another ranger that is based on critical damage and can do assist? Well, for example, this ranger Entoma in this case, she cannot dispel enemy buffs. She doesn't have any guaranteed assist attacks. She has a chance to perform in assist, but she cannot guarantee that she's gonna deal assist. Also, she doesn't ignore enemy defense. She only boosts, her own survival skills, and so the kind of unique things about Albedo is that she guarantees that you're gonna deal damage. Like sometimes you can, for example, go with another ranger or heavy hitter. Like you can go with Momon, a heavy hitter warrior, or you can go with, for example, Solution, the SSR version, and so hoping to deal massive damage to the enemy. And maybe the enemy, because has a lot of shields or has a lot of defense on the stats or magical defense, is able to resist your attacks and not get seriously injured. So the turn of your solution or your Momon may be wasted, or they get countered because the enemy has so many defenses. Like for example, each time I see a normal Momon, I throw this Hamuski on my team. One, because this character has a lot of physical defense, which basically counters a little bit of Momon attacks, or well, performance in general. And two, because it deflects damage. When someone hits this tank, Hamuske, that specific enemy is gonna receive damage based on Hamuske's defense. So these kind of characters that are, based around dealing great amounts of damage can be outshine, can be, underperforming when they're facing very tanky enemies. The special thing on Albedo is that even if you put termination set on the other characters like in Momon or Solution that I already said, even if you put termination set, they are still gonna get heavily countered by really tanky teams or really tanky characters. While Albedo, the mate version, doesn't get that heavily countered because not only she will be ignoring defense with determination set, but she's gonna be dealing extra damage because she ignores another percentage of the enemy defense because of her passive, and then she ignores even more of the enemy defense because of her arc light. So she has multiple ways of bypassing the enemy defense. Not only that, but she also bypasses some enemy tank skills, the guard, the shield wall, and so the only thing you should be worried about is that Albedo might get countered by really fast characters, like because she has beyond speed. If you don't play Albedo in a character or in a team that can protect her properly, you can face an enemy team that has a maxed no dead no life, a maxed one on stars on Arclight, because she has so much speed and her stars just give her even more speed when she just plays, when she enters the battlefield. She might just throw an ultimate on Maid Albedo, stun her, leave her an entire round stunned, and she might not be able to perform any assist on any of the other teammates' attacks, and she might not be able to throw any skill because she might be stunned. And maybe you don't even have a purifying skill to get rid of the stun, or a debuff immunity or something like that. So if you're not careful when protecting Albedo or playing her in a team that can be, you know, can be played around her, she might get countered by those type of meta characters like No Death No Life, or a moment that goes all out with the ultimate to delete her as soon as possible. So that is the only thing that you should consider when you play or when you think on getting Maid Albedo. Or even if you already have her, if you're thinking on leveling her up, upgrading her skills and so, just taking consideration that she basically is all out. She is full damage character. That means that you need at least one more character to defend or protect Albedo. That way you get maximum value out of her, because it's not useful a character that may do great damage, that is capable of dealing 200k damage if it dies after one single turn, like that's why I don't like Seshi, for example, personally. She is able to throw critical hits that bypass 200, even 300k damage, but at the same time, if a fly lands on her, she dies. Like, she is incredibly fragile. Everything kills her. Even things like Pandora's actor, which is, a priest, a healer, even him can destroy her if he gets a turn on her. And that is a little bit similar to Albedo. She basically is fragile, is very, very fragile. The only difference that I'm gonna be seeing here between those two characters at the moment of you trying to think of a composition for those characters, like in this case Albedo and No Death No Life, will be the kind of teams you can put them in. You could use Seshi to gain the first turn on any composition, and outside of that, of using her, as kind of like an advantage to get the first turn, the only team that is viable is uh a meta team around her. That means the Robo Musket, this guy right here, or this robot, the Tank Sisita, this version here, and you could either put there the new Momon or Big Team or Anniversary Albedo. While with Maid Albedo, you can put multiple teams on her and you can perform really, really well. First team that you could use on her is a critical damage team, okay? Because she puts the critical damage resistance down on the enemies, you can put other critical damage based characters with her to perform even better. It depends, for example, if you have this Momon, the original one, with a lot of crit, you can pair this character with her. In my case, I don't have a lot of crit on him, so it's not as viable for me. But for example, I have the other Momon with a lot of crit, so he can be paired with her very, very well. Not only that, I can pair Nigredo and Entoma with her. Nigredo, you can see only 52. Yeah, it's not a lot, but she obtains like extra 15 with the ultimate. Extra 20, sorry. Even better. So she has over 70%. Entoma has over 70%. And after her first three attacks, she's gonna have the guaranteed critical hits. She's gonna have the 100%. So I have other critical damage characters. Even Seshi deals critical damage. You can pair Seshi with Maid Albedo as well if you want two physical damage dealers based on crit. You can even pair Victim with her if you have a critical based Victim. And any other character that you may have on crit. You may have Solution on critical damage. Maybe. Or you may have Saryusu on critical damage like me. I have him based on crit. Any character that you have with a lot of crit, you can pair with Albedo, and when Albedo hits and performs her assists, she's gonna be able to increase the performance of the other critical damage characters. Not only that, you can put Maid Albedo on an assist team. That means a team with multiple characters that can perform assist. So when one character attacks, you have at least one other character that is gonna deal extra damage making an assist. Or if you get lucky, maybe two, maybe three, maybe the entire team performs an assist in a single turn. That may include characters like SSR Entoma that can perform assist, may include Nigredo, which is probably the best assist based character, or well, at least I think so. It could also be paired with this Momo because he deals a lot of assist attacks. You can pair, well, let me find her first. With the Pleiades, you can put this Yuri, the SR version of her, the original one, with any other Pleiade. Like, for example, you can pair that Yuri and this Nave, the limited Nave. And when Yuri attacks, she can make Nave deal an assist with extra damage. And then Albedo can perform an assist of her own as well. And you have a very simple assist team, you know? You could use any other players that you like or that you may have high level. You can pair her with this version of Hamuski, the original one, because this character, when it's on the West King of the Forest state, which is basically a buff after throwing the ultimate, or a buff that gets automatically if you have enough stars on Hamuske, she's gonna be able to force another character of her team, the one with the highest attack, to deal an assist or to perform an assist and increases the attack of that ally. Not only that, but Hamuski lowers the enemy defense. So the enemy will have even lower defense than usual that Albedo is able to bypass or ignore at all. Believe it or not, you can also put Eclair there. Not because he's a great healer or anything like that. Honestly, he is not really that good. But if you play an assist, an assist-based team, this skill right here gives extra 20% assist rate, which means that you can make another character that may have low assist rate perform even better. Like for example, that buff of Eclair on Mayentoma will be really good because Mayentoma has 44% assist rate, not even 50. It's not a lot, but honestly, it's not low because I often see Entoma performing a lot of assist attacks. So that 44% plus the 20% from the Claire skill, it's 60%. Well, 64%, which is really, really nice. But okay, those are kind of like a bit weird of the weird teams, you know? Another team that you can do is one that you're seeing right now. It's a full Albedo team. The four Albedos on the same team. Basically, what happens is that with this team, you more likely will play Albedo, the original version, first because she has Aeon Speed. It's this version of her, you know, the one that you get at the start of the game. She's gonna be able to deal area of effect damage, magical damage, and burn damage. So if the enemies had a lot of physical defense, she's gonna be able to outperform them. She's gonna be able to take them by surprise. She puts burn, so if the enemy is weak to damage over time effects, they are gonna suffer. She has S on attack, so she hits very hard as well. She can reduce the enemy healing as well with her ultimate. She can put how it's called, damage aggravation on the enemy. Yeah, damage aggravation, making an enemy take extra 30% damage. You can combine that with the critical damage resistance down debuff that Maid Albedo puts. You combine those two debuffs on the same target, and you're gonna make that target suffer. Doesn't matter how many or how much health that target has, it's gonna suffer. So you have a high speed mage with area of effect skills. So you wipe the screen, or even if she is not that boosted on your account, on your profile, she's still gonna be able to weaken the enemy, because area of effect skills is gonna affect all the enemies on the screen. Doesn't matter how many enemies you're facing. Second turn, you're probably gonna be playing between Tank Albedo and Ranger Albedo. That means the tank version, the one with the armor, and Maid Albedo. If you play Maid Albedo, try to throw, the second skill, this one right here, the tornado. So she's gonna be able to perform skill assist attacks more often and in a guaranteed way. And she starts stacking up the Queen Ray stacks for when she throws her ultimate. You use her to focus any target that you might want to bring down fast, like an enemy healer or something like that. And then you play this Albedo, the Raven Black Guardian. And when you play her, you can see here she doesn't have a lot of health or a lot of speed. Well, sorry, she doesn't have a lot of attack or a lot of speed. She has a lot of health. That is what she has. If you have her boosted, she's gonna be able to give everyone a shield as soon as the game starts. So you already have quite the defense on your team. But the important thing on her is that she can put taunt on the enemy. When she gets to play, you're gonna throw an area of effect skill that is gonna have 100% basic chance to taunt one enemy of your preference, the one that you focus on, and you might have 50% basic chance plus all of your effect precision to taunt the other members of the enemy team, which is really nice. And if you manage to taunt, at least two of those enemies or more, you're nullifying the enemy's turn, because when they get a turn, they're gonna, instead of being able to decide what skill to throw and so, they're just gonna use a basic attack on Albedo. And if Albedo has any shields, she has a chance of countering the enemy and putting taunt again on the enemy. Or if the allies have shields by any other character to give shields on the composition, like for example Anniversary Albedo. So you have the tank Albedo to control the enemy, to avoid certain enemy to throw any skill that might throw off your composition or your characters, to avoid maybe even a dangerous skill that might kill someone. And then you have Anniversary Albedo, more likely to play last. She has a lot of health, so you don't have to worry about protecting Albedo that much. Well, this Albedo. And she has S on attack. She has great attack. But the important thing on her is the passive and the ultimate, more likely. The ultimate gives you a lot of things. Debuff immunity, high tier critical damage boost, indomitable so someone doesn't die. She reduces the enemy supreme being action points by 10, so you prevent them from throwing, a leader skill. She has a fixed chance to dispel buffs from the enemies. She has an execution trait, so she can avoid enemies from resurrecting, like Valkyrie Shelter or things like that. And well, the important thing will be you throw this to Maid Albedo. You're gonna make Maid Albedo immune to any debuff. You're gonna boost her turn meter. And the important thing, because Maid Albedo is a critical damage based character, with this combination, you're gonna increase her critical damage by 45%, which is a lot. And now then you have the passive. The passive, she heals a lot, and if she gets any overheal, that means that the allies are full HP, and so she's gonna give them shields instead. She can also give immunity when someone is about to die or takes fatal damage. Instead of that, she heals them for a certain percentage of her attack, gives them high tier effect resistance boost, debuff immunity, and invincibility for 2 entire rounds, and can be activated twice. So even if the enemies, outplayed you on any way and deal enough damage to kill both your mage and your Maid Albedo, your Anniversary Albedo is going to be able to salvage the team and not only heal them, but make them invincible for 2 entire rounds and give them debuff immunity. So she can save your entire match. You have everything. You have magical damage, you have physical damage, critical damage, You have control skills, you have a tank that is gonna give shielding and so can counter, then you have a healer that not only heals but also shields, also gives you buffs, also gives you invincibility, avoids someone from dying in multiple ways. Not only that, but she also can steal enemy buffs with the normal attack, and so you have a really, really good team there. Is really good. So you have an assist based team with things like Nigredo or Entoma, aside of course Maid Albedo. You have a critical damage based team. You could use any Momon version. You could use big team. You could use Seshi with her. You have the Albedo team. You know all Albedos. You could use also a mate team. Like I told you, you could go for the SR Yuri. Then you use any Pleiade that you have a high level or graded. Could be any Pleiade of your choice. Then you put Maid Albedo. You have at least two assists. One that Yuri is gonna make other player perform, and the one from Maid Albedo. And you could put Pestonia to, refresh someone ultimate when you need it, and still having a healer on your team. If you want to absolutely make sure that Albedo always makes use of her ultimate and her exclusive effect on the Arclight, you pair her with Pandora's Actor, because Pandora's Actor gives a ton of buffs, as you can see here. He can choose from all of these buffs to give to one ally, and here also gives more buffs, and so with Pandora's Actor you assure that Albedo is always gonna have more buffs than the enemy. Not only that, but you can also uh, you know pair Albedo with a control team. A control team will be, for example, this Return Lizardman Traveler Sariusu, because he can freeze the enemies, so they lose an entire turn. That is one. You could use, for example, Tank Albedo here, too, because she can counter. Well, she can, sorry, taunt the enemy, and when she counters, she can also taunt the enemy again. That will be two. The third character could be, for example, Nigredo with the silence, or could be Robo Hamuske with the stun, and then you put Albedo. The objective, or the goal of the control team is that the enemies do not play until you want them to play. Like you're gonna freeze one enemy with Sariusu, for example, and you avoid them from taking a turn. Then you stun other enemy with Hamuske stun. You avoid other enemy from taking a turn, and then you can taunt the other two remaining enemies with Albedo Ultimate, the tank version. So the enemies do not play, and when they are close to playing, you just uh, throw the ultimate of Maid Albedo and kill them. Like on the first turns, when they are under controlled effects, you can throw Albedo Tornado and then her assist attacks and so to weaken the enemy. And once the enemies are out of the controlled state, you just finish them off. So the enemies basically do not get to play. Your allies stun the enemies or avoid them from attacking enough time for your Albedo to weaken and kill the enemies. And you can use, any kind of control character that you may have. If you have a Nigredo, Nigredo. If you don't want that, you have Seshi. Seshi can also work there. She has a stun. Big Team has a stun that can affect the entire enemy team, so he can also be there. If you want, for example, Shasuryu for the taunt, you can go for him, sorry. If you want Yuri, the SR version, because he has a stun, you can go for her as well. All of them work in the control team composition. And yeah, that will be, if you want to maximize Maid Albedo damage as the last team, it will be, of course, Maid Albedo, then Big Team, because Big Team gives, with the passive, the Flesh Sacrifice, gives extra attack to everyone based on both his own HP missing and his own attack. And if he dies, the effect doubles up. It will be him, it will be this Hamuske, because it adds damage to all of her allies based on her defense. And then you could put either Pandora's Actor to increase, Albedo performance having multiple buffs on her, or you can put Anniversary Albedo to increase, her critical damage, or you can go for this solution. only when you have her 4 stars or more, because she's gonna give high tier attack boost for her and the ally with the highest star meter. So you're gonna try to play solution right right before you play Maid Albedo. So she gives the high tier attack boost to Maid Albedo. And she's gonna have the flesh sacrifice, that is an increased attack from victim, the increased attack based on Hamuski's defense, and then the high tier attack boost, that is an increasing 40%. So even if Albedo does not crit, she still deals extra damage. And she's gonna crit depending on how much you have on her. In my case, she almost never loses a crit. So for me, that will be all. She is worth it, yeah, absolutely worth it. She deals great damage, she deals assist, she helps the other characters on her team. She is really good at what she offers when you use her as a finisher or as someone to weaken the enemies as well. She can work in both roles. Not only that, but she has a lot of flexibility on what kind of teams or characters you can play with her. She's very, very useful on literally any mode. You can go to the realm of shadows, you can go to the story mode, you can go to, for example, the treasury, the abyss of giants. Everywhere she's useful. For example, the treasury, she's really useful against the fire elemental. The fire elemental is weak against assist and chase attacks. Maid Albedo deals a lot of assist. The Land of Confusion, there is a specific boss that is weak to critical damage, and there is another that is weak to Garnet faction characters. She covers both. Works in the Dragon's Lair, yes. The Dragon's Lair, when the dragon gets the specific buff based on the treasure chest, gets countered by multi-hit attacks. Albedo is a multi-hit character, so she deals, she performs great there. The Holy Rings, if you want to burst down the enemies to clear the stage as soon as possible, Albedo is great for her critical damage. The Demonic Tower has some floors that can be boosted on the assist. Well, that has the assist based stage and so she gets boosted there. Echoes of Time is a late game, game mode. So if you have Albedo with a lot of critical chance, you can go there and you can try to survive the late game characters, the late game enemies that can one shot you and have tons of HP, but because she can and tons of defense, but because Albedo can bypass a lot of the enemy defense, she comes in handy here really good. Not only that, but also we have the Abyss of Giants. The Abyss of Giants, she might not directly counter the enemy, but she can deal massive damage to that boss. And because it's an early game boss, you don't have to worry about anything there. The Phantom Reverie, that specific boss is weak to basic attacks. When she performs an assist, she deals basic attacks. So she's also, giving you benefits there. Everywhere you play her is really good. If you want to go to the multiplayer, you can also play and get a really good performance from her. A really, really good. Something that I'm gonna do right after this video, that I don't know how long it is yet, but I think it's like an hour or so, is go to the arena and play 5 matches. The 5 that you gain daily here, the challenge attempts. I'm gonna go play 5 matches. I'm gonna go, try to. I'm gonna try to show you some of the compositions and let you see how she performs. Probably I'm gonna be throwing the critical damage team, the assist team with Nigredo and so, the Albedo team, and maybe the team to maximize her damage. Because I'm trying to do multiple guides, of all these characters. I'm gonna try to use those challenge attempts to show you on the arena on the multiplayer the other characters that I'm doing the guides. So I'm just gonna do 5 matches of her, maybe 6. If I find other match from time ago when I'm using her and she performs well there, I'm gonna add it. But most probably is that I'm gonna be just showing you 5 matches of her. So one, you don't have to stay for an entire hour seeing that. And two, I can get the video out today, the same day that I'm doing this kind of discussion, or on if she is good and how good she is. And also because the astral prayer is ending, so very soon, in 2 days and 16 hours. So anyone that might find this video or might see it by any casualty, and or any coincidence, and was thinking about her, on getting her, on upgrading her, or whatever, they still may have time to do that. So yeah, after that I'm gonna be showing you the arena, uh, different teams with her, and just let you see the critical damage that she does. Maybe because here I do not find a lot of good compositions to play. I might find these two teams, for example, here that are highly on the ranking, are highly placed on the ranking, so I might go and face them to see how strong they are. And because, for example, the first team doesn't have tanks, maybe Albedo is gonna one shot some enemies or two shot them. Or this one, the ranking 40, she might be able to not be able to one shot them, but she's gonna be able to deal massive damage to them because this is a very bad composition. It's a stalling composition. Or for example, the other two teams on the lower half are meta teams, with Hambuski, the freaking Seishi, the Clementine, and so that might be boring because for once I told you that is the composition that counters her. The only composition that counters Maid Albedo is the meta composition. But I might try it just to see what happens. But that will be, a bit more boring because on the one on the lower half, two enemies revive. One can revive indefinitely, other just once but still revives. And the other, well, one counters her because high speed and the stun, and the second one doesn't counter her, but it's just gonna take a long time to kill. The other one that is on top is just another stalling composition because Albedo has the invulnerabilities, the revives, and so the indomitable. She's tanky. The Hamuski is just gonna to tank more damage. It's gonna take a while to kill that character. Clementine is gonna give invincibility every 2 turns or 3, and everything is gonna be in Seshi because he's the only damage dealer of that team. So it's gonna be a match of like 8 to 10 minutes trying to kill that thing. But still, I'm gonna try to give you a variety of teams so you can see how she plays against different compositions while being in different compositions herself. So yeah, for me she's worth it. For me she is really worth it, both the character and the arc light. Try to get her at least to 4 stars so you obtain the boost on the ultimate, and after that, uh, you can see if you combines to get her more upgrades or if you will leave her on 4 stars and that's it. So for me, yeah, in in terms of how good she is, I will say from 1 to 10, she is a 10. She's a 10. She was the old meta on this game before session, all of those shitty things, and is still really, really good. Maybe she's not the exact meta now because she doesn't have Aeson speed at the same time that has 100% crit chance and 100% damage boost and so, but she's still really, really good. Now, enough with the ranting and all of that. Thanks for hearing my awful voice here, and next video are the combats of Maid Albedo on different compositions. So yeah, I will say I recommend getting her, upgrading her, as well as her Arclight. Try it, and honestly, it's way better than the meta team. Only because this is a character that you have to, think a little bit on what are you gonna upgrade on her, what compositions you're gonna be playing with her for every certain, game mode that you're playing, and so. So you actually play the game with this character and others, unlike No Dead No Life that you just put Hamuske Tanksisita as support and you press the or you push the auto button, so the game plays itself. So yeah, with this you actually have to play, and you can play and still have fun. With that said, yeah, until the next video.